All 8 stocks are heavily indebted and are likely to benefit most from higher inflation. Faster inflation actually causes certain stocks to become better valued. It's easy to overlook that fact amid stock market turmoil caused by hot inflation numbers published Thursday. But which stocks, exactly? Many on Wall Street have a ready answer: value stock. Those are the ones that trade for low prices relative to earnings, cash flow, book value, and so forth. Growth stocks, in contrast, trade for high ratios. The conventional wisdom is that value stocks will benefit because they derive a greater proportion of their worth from current earnings. With growth stocks, earnings are further out. As I pointed out a week ago, in this space, however, the conventional wisdom is flawed. So we will have to look elsewhere for stocks that will benefit from inflation. To find out where else we should look, I reached out to Richard Warr, a finance professor at North Carolina State University. I had interviewed him for my week ago column on value and growth stocks, you may recall. Since he is the co-author of the seminal research calling the conventional wisdom into question, Warr told me that highly leveraged companies should be among the biggest beneficiaries of higher inflation. These are companies with the greatest amount of debt relative to their equity. Warr's rationale is that higher inflation will deteriorate the present value of their debt at a faster rate. In addition, such companies can deduct their interest expense. Other things being equal, therefore, a highly leveraged company should outperform a less leveraged firm when inflation is accelerating. Of course, rarely are all other things equal. Warr said that, when considering leveraged companies in a rising inflation and interest rate environment, it's crucial to pay attention to their debt service capabilities. Those with the least ability might find themselves having to refinance their debt at much higher rates, in which case their leverage could be a net negative to their valuation. With these thoughts in mind, I constructed a subset of the stocks currently recommended for purchase by at least 3 of the top performing newsletters, monitored by my performance auditing firm. The subset contained only those of highly leveraged, non-financial companies that also are comfortably able to service their debt. I chose to exclude financial companies because leverage ratios for them are not strictly comparable to those of non-financial firms. To determine which non-financial companies were most leveraged, I focused on the debt-to-equity ratio. I arbitrarily chose a lower bound of 100%. Which means that to survive my winnowing process, a company had to have at least as much debt as shareholder equity. To measure a company's ability to service its debt, I focused on the so-called interest coverage ratio, which is calculated by dividing operating income by interest expense. I arbitrarily chose a lower bound for this ratio of 5, which means that any company that makes the cut is spending no more than 20% of operating earnings on interest expense. The 8 stocks that made the grade appear in the table below, listed in descending order of their debt-to-equity ratio. The data on the 2 ratios is courtesy of FactSet. Stocks debt-equity ratio EBIT interest coverage ratio number of newsletters recommending Oracle Corp. plus 1,661%, 6.33 Cardinal Health Inc. plus 375%, 10.04 Amgen Inc. plus 355%, 6.33 IBM. plus 292%, 7.04 Apple Inc. plus 216%, 41.24 FedEx Corp. plus 151%, 7.04 Leggett Platt plus 139%, 7.4. 3 CVS Health Corp. plus 101%, 6.14 Mark Holbert is a regular contributor to MarketWatch. His Holbert Ratings tracks investment newsletters that pay a flat fee to be audited. He can be reached at mark@holbertratings.com.